What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Park Lane Podcast, episode number 89, which is once again brought to you by our good friends at Manscaped. If you've never heard of Manscaped, head over to manscaped.com. They can facilitate all of your shaving needs, whether it's shaving upstairs, downstairs, wherever you need, they will sort you out. And you can get 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code PARKLANE20. That's PARKLANE20 for 20% off plus free shipping. And, you know, a bit more housekeeping to get done. If you are joining us live on either Twitter, Facebook, which is new, or YouTube, you know, head over to our YouTube channel, click the subscribe button, click the like button as well. Get us to 1,000 subscribers as quick as we can, because we'll have an amazing giveaway once we get to that number, but we need to get there first. Also, if you're listening on any podcast platform, you know, get liking and following and all the rest of it, because we do love you over there, but we never get to see you. Also, get your comments in the comment section to discuss anything you want to, just like Thomas has. Thomas has said hello. So hello to you, Thomas. Oh, yeah. And then I forgot to introduce everybody else. Wynnie, you're back. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. You know, it's we've got a lot to discuss, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see what we can come up with in terms of transfers and stuff like that. But I must admit, I've also got Raducanu on in the background. So if you see me looking up, I'm with you guys, but I'm also just keeping a little eye on Raducanu. But I must admit as well that that shirt looks a lot better, Luke, in on screen as it does. You know, like the little ones that we saw before it actually came and before it was released. Looks good.
Thanks, mate. It's the tightest shirt that I've ever bought in my entire life. I decided to go I went for the player version. I didn't pay full price, obviously. And it's the tightest shirt I've ever put on ever. So, yeah. It's all right. Thanks for that. Wes, how are you?
Yeah, all good. Thank you. Nice to see you ordered a small for your shirt as well, by the way. But, yeah, no, all good. Obviously, football is, I mean, I don't know if it's coming home, but it was yesterday anyway. So, yeah, but looking forward to talking all things Tottenham once again.
Yeah, definitely, mate. It's good to have you on regularly before you disappear for the entire season.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Callum, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. But what are you overcompensating for with that shirt? I mean, is there something that you're trying to hide, or is it just something that's disappointed everyone else in your life?
I don't think I'm trying to hide anything. I don't think it's any, like, you know, secret that, you know, I'm not well endowed. But anyway, let's move on. Another could be watching. And anyway, regardless of that, you know, you can always help yourself by heading over to Manscaped and sorting yourself out there as well. But anyway, enough of that. Let's move on. We are going to talk about all kinds of things transfers. So if you've got any thoughts on any Spurs transfers, get them in the comment section. And because there's like 12 of you watching now, so let us know who you are, where you're from, all the rest of it. And we'll try and read out as many comments as we can. But let's get into England last night, because Wes, once again, it was a pretty boring game. Look, on the plus side, and I don't, you know, encourage any kind of betting, but Paddy Power always have a free bet, and I bet on under 2.5 goals, a draw, Xhaka to get 2 fouls, and like someone to have a shot, and it was like the easiest bet in the world. Like it was obviously going to be a draw, it was obviously going to go to penalties. It was just, don't know what's wrong with England at the moment. Like we started all right, but it like, I think it was the Cheese Room podcast that like messaged, and they were like, oh, you know, what does this England game remind you of? And I just put like Spurs under Antonio Conte. Like it was just so boring. I don't think England are going to get beat, but I don't think they're going to beat anybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think from my point of view, I actually think it's probably one of England's better performances in the tournament. I think we're a lot more positive yesterday. Don't get me wrong, still a hell of a lot of room for improvement. I think everybody will agree. But then at the same time, I don't see, for example, France getting the bad press that England are getting. Like France haven't scored a goal from open play this tournament, yet they're in the same part of the tournament as England, and yet they've arguably got one of the best players in the world in their team, and they've got other world-class players in their team as well. So yeah, like I say, it was a bit more positive, or a little bit more on the front foot, trying to defend, if you like, a little bit higher up the pitch. But yeah, there's still a lot of room for improvement with this England side. But it just feels like England are finding a way to grind out a result, if that makes sense. So yes, it's not the most prettiest of watches, considering the amount of talent that we do have. But it's a little bit like you said, it's almost that style versus substance. I mean, as Spurs fans, we've had it with Mourinho and Conte. And it's that, okay, are you willing to sacrifice the style and how you play for the results, which is the substance? And I think that's almost where we're at currently with England, which sounds really strange considering, like I said, the amount of attacking talent that we have at our disposal.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, actually, Wes. But Wynnie, talking about like how England set up, because England, kind of set up differently, right? They went with wing backs as such, but they just Gareth Southgate just like lost the plot again. Like, he played Kieran Trippier on the left hand side, even though he's a right footer, and Bukayo Saka on the right hand side, who has arguably a better, obviously, left foot than Kieran Trippier. Instead of switching them over, you'd have liked to have probably seen Trent play right wing back. I would have liked to have seen that, especially as how high Bukayo Saka was for most. Because to be honest, he really wasn't playing as a wing back for the majority of the game because he played so high. You can look at it and say, well, Bukayo had a great game on that right hand side, but how much better could we have been if he'd have just put players that could play with the right foot on the right sides? Yeah,
I think, if I'm honest, it seems to be something that he has done throughout the whole tournament. What we said before, square pegs, round holes, and is just, even for some reason, just seems to continue to do that. Yeah, I think I would have liked to. I mean, I think we, just alluding to what Wes said, we were definitely better. That's a fact. We were definitely more positive going forward. It was still boring. But I think people are saying, people are banging. I've seen on Twitter, people are banging on about, how can you say that was a good performance? Well, it's because the benchmark was so low. We didn't have to play much better for it to be a better performance than what we put out previously. So there's still a few tweaks, like you say. I think I think Trippier had another stinker again. And I also think Kyle Walker's had a stinker of a tournament. For someone who is Mr. Consistent, he's always brilliant. I think he's been a bit stinky as well. So yeah, I think it just seems to be like what we used to do with Gareth Bale at Tottenham, start him on the right wing because he'd always want to cut in on his left hand side and ping it top bins. But I don't see the point of doing that with a fullback, to be perfectly honest. You want them on their most natural and comfortable side, because any mistakes that they make is going to potentially lead to a goal scoring opportunity. So it was better. Do I think he will? And if I'm perfectly honest, I think with Gahey coming back in, I think he's going to switch straight back to a back four, unfortunately. So we will be even more boring against Holland. I think that's just my opinion. I don't know, but I think he'll switch back to a back four now. Gahey will be back, even though Konsa was brilliant, by the way.
Yeah, it was a little bit infuriating at times. Why it has to be done like that. And talking about Kyle Walker, like I tweeted about it last night, and I personally don't think he's done anything wrong in this tournament. I just don't think he's done anything right. Like, I just think every single decision he makes, he chooses the opposite decision. A ball could be played very quickly out to Bukayo on the right hand side. He does a fake pass, cuts back, plays it back to John Stones, and every pass in this England team is to the next man long. And Wes is the football coach here, but the best way to break down presses and things like that is to pass, two players at a time, or that's the way I imagine it anyway, or something along those lines to kind of get moving a lot quicker. But anyway, Callum, random one for you. What did you make of Luke Shaw's introduction? Because there's been a lot of talk about Luke Shaw. Should he have been here? Should he have even been in the squad, and so on? I personally thought he came on and did quite well. He came on the left side and then ended up at left centre back towards the end. What did you make of him?
Well, I was watching it with bad signal in the Royal Albert Hall last night. That's how bad it was. I was watching it on my phone, so I can't say for definite, but he definitely added some more stability. It wasn't a lightning performance. He was kind of like the guys have said about Kyle Walker. He didn't do much right. He didn't do much wrong, if you get what I mean. But he definitely added some more balance, actually having a natural left-sided player in them positions, because he's a left back by trade. He was England's best left back since probably Danny Rose when he was playing at one point, and then the injuries have done him in. So I mean, for him to actually finally come into the tournament only 3 games too late after not being fit to be there, it wasn't the worst performance. I think that's the best way of putting it. It could have been a lot worse. We didn't concede when he did come on, so happy days that we've actually got a natural fucking left back now for the semi-finals. We've only wanted one for the group stage and the quarters and the round of 16, but yeah, we finally got him there.
Don't panic, he'll still play Kieran Trippier against Netherlands.
Don't. Yeah, he'll play him against Netherlands, and Saka will end up playing right wing back or something like that. So I mean, just shows how tactically delusional Southgate is. Whether people agree or not, don't particularly care, to be honest. It just shows how inept he is as a twat. Let's put it that way.
Well, he's inept as a twat. You heard it here first. Wes, talk to me about these penalties. As I keep going on about, you are a football coach, so you know this is the stuff you know all about. So I'm coming to you. But how good were the penalty takers last night?
Oh, just brilliant. Black excellence as well, by the way. I've seen a few people mentioning about the fact, obviously, we know what happened in the last Euros, etc., etc. I think Saka had his redemption from 3 years ago, 100%. And yeah, just what I liked was, and I've actually noticed this when I've been going out and watching players at football tournaments recently at youth level, is what I've noticed, there seems to be a trend where when the referee blows the whistle, the player then immediately goes and takes the penalty. And more often than not, that player would then miss a penalty. And obviously it's a lot different kids football to, you know, the quarterfinals, if you like, of a European Championships. Of course it is, but you're still in a pressurized situation. So the similarities are there. But it's what I liked was actually when the referee blew the whistle, you saw the England players go, right, okay, and then take a couple of deep breaths, go into their what you would call autonomous mode of doing the routines that they've practiced time and time again. And that was the bit that I liked. And so from that point of view, they took control of the situation as opposed to the situation being in control of them. And I mean, you know, you look at Trent's penalty, no one's really getting near that. Palmer's penalty again, brilliant. And yeah, it was just really, really confident. Obviously, ice cold Ivan Toney from the penalty spot. You know, one of the only things he's probably any good at is taking a penalty. I'll give him that. But yeah, just nerves of steel, I think, from Ivan Toney. But yeah, it was 5 good penalties, really well taken. Saka redemption, black excellence. We're living life.
Amazing. Who's your favourite penalty?
Jude's, I think, because he's properly gone to do it, had a little stutter, and then just almost rolled it. And I like those ones where they sort of roll it past the keeper and almost take the piss out of the keeper, to be fair, which is what Jude did.
Nice. Wynnie, Wes kind of touched on it, but what did you make of Ivan Toney's penalty? And also, whose penalty was your favourite?
Ivan Toney, mate. It did, like the balls of steel, mate. He did not. Obviously, we've all seen the clip. Not once did he look at the ball, which just like he's just got some absolute cojones on the bloke. And obviously, it was that good of a penalty that the keeper went the right way and still didn't get there. So yeah, for me, it was. Do you know what? For the first time I've watched a penalty shootout, I wouldn't say I was confident, but I was confident in the players. Like I genuinely was looking at the players, and as Wes said, they were calm and collective. I seen, especially Trent. I think he stood there for a good 5 seconds, had a couple of deep breaths in and out. I just knew he wasn't going to miss. So yeah, Ivan Toney's was for me the best, but it could have been any of them, to be honest. And you know, don't like to say it as much, obviously being Arsenal, but I was made up for Saka, to be perfectly honest, because I know obviously how he must have felt in the Euros previously. So and you know what, like obviously I'm one of these people, and I know not everyone is, because I've seen a few Tottenham accounts on Twitter, you know, berating people for just tweeting out Saka when he scored and stuff like that. Like, you just put your allegiances aside when it comes to England. Like, we're all we're all one kind of community kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So like, I'm not gonna sit here and like bang on about him, but I was made up for him, and I was happy to see him smile, because it must have been an absolute choker in the last tournament. So
yeah, 100%. Especially having Bellends saying what they said after the game, and
yeah,
100%. Afterwards, it was brilliant to see him, finally score, because I agree with you. Like we've talked about rivalries before, and like the way you should treat other people based on their football clubs and so on. And we've talked about all. I think in a way, a lot of us, like, our views align. And so, do you know what I mean? Like, it's England. We need him to score, and he scored. Like, I'm not going to cheer for him if he scores for Arsenal.
I'm a Tottenham fan. I'm an England fan. It's as simple as that. Like I saw some people, these people that go out to Germany and with a bloody microphone and ask all fans questions. And they was asking. I think they asked a Tottenham fan and was like, if Saka scored the winning goal in the Euro final, would you celebrate? And he was like, no, of course I wouldn't. Fuck, Jesus Christ, give it a rest, man. Of course you would. Like, I'm an England fan. I'd celebrate any goal scored by any England player, regardless of who they play for, anything.
Yeah, nice. Callum, coming to you, talking about Harry Kane. Don't know where your allegiances lie now, but what did you make of, whether he was injured or not injured? Harry Kane being taken off 10 minutes before a penalty shootout. It's not very Gareth Southgate-like, is it?
No, I mean, it did literally look like he did fall down and hurt his lower back and actually part of his thigh, to be fair. I think he went over and hit a call box or something like that when he fell into the technical area. So that didn't help. But, I mean, there has been this underlying theory that Kane has not been fit this whole tournament. He has looked very poor off the boil, and it's one of them when he is England's best penalty taker, as proven by the stats for England, that you want your captain to be there and ready to step up. But if he was that injured, then I would hope and expect that he doesn't play Wednesday, or he doesn't start Wednesday if it was that serious. Because if not, then it means that he didn't feel confident taking a penalty in the shootout. So there's tactical reasons from the England captain and the England manager to decide on that. And it's not about allegiances, whether he's ex-Spurs or whether he's at Bayern Munich. It's that he's an England captain, and you want your captain there to take the penalties. But if he is genuinely that fucked, then he shouldn't be anywhere near the penalty shootout. And we proved, like Wes and Wynnie have said, all the guys stepped up. Saka came in and did brilliantly with his penalty. Trent did. I think, was it Walker, Tony and Palmer? So all of them stepped up in the absence of Kane. That's what you want. You want these guys to lead from the front. And if Kane can't do it, then these guys have stepped up. But if Kane was injured, then he shouldn't be anywhere near the semi-finals as a starter. But if he does come back and plays absolutely dog shit like he has for the last 3, 4, 5 games, then it just shows that the manager and the coaching team that are making these decisions are putting country first, player fitness afterwards. And if Kane's stupid enough to go along with that, then there's a whole bigger rooted problem that's in there further along the line that we'll have to address, I believe, as a national team setup.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I can't disagree. Quick one for all of you, and we'll kind of go round the houses about Harry Kane. But who is to? Actually, it's a 2-part question, right? Who is to blame for Harry Kane's, not turning up in this tournament? Is it him or is it Southgate? And secondly, would you agree that actually probably he would suit being an impact player coming on 60, 70 minutes into a game? Or do you think he should start every game? Just quick answers. I'll come to you first, Wynnie.
Just quickly, I think if I'm perfectly honest, what I think hasn't helped him is a year in the Bundesliga, and I know how silly that sounds, but I think with it being kind of a slower paced competition, the games are slower. In my opinion, I think he's not up to scratch with it. And let's be honest, he missed how many months of the Bundesliga, so he's clearly not fit. So I just think, it's probably a mixture of both, because you could say Southgate should be realising that he's not up to scratch and not playing him. But I think that the onus can also be on Harry Kane to go, look, because like playing football, if you're playing shit. It could be being the England captain. He should put kind of his own personal pride aside and maybe go, do you know what? I don't think I'm up to scratch. Maybe start someone else and go from there. But an impact player, I don't know if the problem is, as good as he is, I don't think Harry Kane's an impact player. For me, an impact player for me is someone that like a tricky winger that you can bring off the bench. And when you've got some tired legs in defence, you can get at the defender with your skills and your tricks. So I think it's basically it's probably on a mixture of Kane and Southgate, but I think he will start him because he's got the problem of he's captain. And if your captain's fit-ish, you start him. It's as simple as that. But I don't think he should. I don't think I can back him up anymore. I'm a big fan of Harry Kane, obviously, but he's getting slated all tournament. I don't think I can stick up for him any longer because his performances have been crap.
Yeah, and like history tells you, he doesn't turn up in finals or semi-finals usually. That's just what history tells you. Oh, look at that cookie! Love that. I'll come to you in a minute then. Wes.
I think Southgate is to blame for how Kane has played, in the sense that when you look at when Kane operates best, he's always had speed and runners around him. Whereas with England at the moment, you've got him, Bellingham and Foden that all want to occupy the same spaces. So they all want to drop into pockets and they all want to receive the ball to feet. And therefore, you've only got one player, which is Saka, that wants to run the opposite way and try and get in behind. And I think that's why Kane has struggled, because he's not had those pace players or the speed merchants, if you like, around him. Like you look at arguably his best work at Spurs, he's had Son running in behind, he's had Dele running off of him, he's had Lucas Moura, he's had Bergwijn, he's had a lot of runners, even Kulusevski to a certain degree. He's always had runners in and around him, and I think from an England perspective, he's not had that this tournament. So I think that's probably been to his detriment. But then at the same time, I understand Southgate having to try and accommodate Foden and Bellingham in the same team, and I'm pretty sure we've all spoken about how we would do that differently. But I think that's probably why we've not really seen the best of Harry Kane this tournament. Do I think he's an impact player? Absolutely not. I don't think it would suit him. Obviously, I think over the years he's become a bit more streetwise in his game, probably since Mourinho turned up at Spurs, in the sense of his ability to win more fouls in different areas of the pitch. And I think we like I say, we saw that under Mourinho, saw it under Conte, definitely seen it this tournament at times in an England shirt and in previous tournaments. So I don't think being an impact player suits him. So yeah, that's what I'd say on Harry Kane, to be fair.
Fair enough. And lastly, Callum.
I think definitely I'll echo what both the guys have said in regards to that. It's a bit of Southgate, it's a bit of Kane, just the prestige behind Kane being your captain, Southgate being under immense pressure and knowing that he probably is too much of a nice guy to control a dressing room that much in that regard. It's one of them where if you did have a choice, you would stick with your captain. But like Wes said, it's a slower league that he's played in. It's one of them where he has had that detrimental effect on him over the last year and dropping into that 10 pocket that he does like to have, that he's done throughout the last, say, 6 years at Spurs, trying to be creative for other players and having people like Foden and Saka, that Foden never sets the world alight for England. Saka does a lot more, but even he's only can do so much as a player. So I think it's down to both of them to find a way to make it work. But yeah, Kane's not an impact player. Kane was never at Spurs an impact player. And it comes back to that Sheffield United Cup game for me, that when we tried to use him as an impact sub to come on and make something happen. And he was so isolated in that game that he should have been started from the start, or he shouldn't have even been on the bench. I would say drop Kane in a heartbeat, but then if you're going to do it, then you don't bring Kane on. You bring on someone like Watkins, like Tony, people like that, and you maybe go with a false nine set up with maybe playing a Foden, a Bellingham, Saka as your front three potentially against the Netherlands to give them an option. Because Kane doesn't have the pace, he doesn't have the trickery, he doesn't have that aspect to his game to be able to impact it. He's either there at the right moment or he's not in the game at all. So it's a catch-22, whichever one you do, and I think we're bollocks whatever way.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we talk about the league that Harry Kane's in. He scored 40-odd goals in that league. So it's not like he isn't fresh. He isn't kind of like know where the goal is as such. But there's something definitely going on. I think maybe he's so isolated that he's trying to do too much to get involved in the game potentially. We'll never know the answer to that. We just got to hope that if he does play, I just don't trust Tony or Watkins if the ball falls to them to be able to score. That one moment that you need, that Harry Kane could be on for 119 minutes, and there's 1 minute where the ball falls to him and he scores, and that's the worry for me. If we don't play him, is what happens in that moment, and that can cost you in the tournament. And Gareth Southgate's probably thinking the exact same thing. Right. Anyway, we've gone on far too long talking about England. Let's talk about some exciting news, and that is Spurs have signed their first signing, which we thought was on/off last weekend. Turns out it was definitely on, and I, for one, absolutely buzzing. Spurs have signed Archie Gray from Leeds United, £40 million, but then Joe Rodon goes to Leeds for £10 million. I don't know why they do this, and they say, it's a separate deal. Well, it's clearly not, is it? Because just work it out as an average of 30
It's
million.
a matter of accounting. It's accounting purposes, mate.
Yeah. So
your balance sheet.
What do you boys think of that as a signing? And do you think we'll see much of him this season? Callum, I'll come to you on this one.
Yeah, no, really good signing. He's definitely a confident young lad. He definitely thinks he is something special. I mean, you could tell by his interviews that he's very confident in his own abilities. He said he's going to win the Champions League with Leeds, going to be a future Ballon d'Or winner. He idolises Bellingham. So, I mean, he's saying all the right things. But yeah, definitely, I think, he got one of the best players in the Championship, if not, he was the best player in the Championship award last year alongside Somerville from Leeds. So it's definitely positive. I've heard a lot of people say it's another Jack Clark signing. Well, Jack Clark had only played about 10 games when we signed him for Leeds. Archie Gray's actually completed 52 games for them by the age of 18, which is quite good. He's a very versatile player, 6'8", right back, can play as a 10 at some points he did last year. So he's definitely one of them people who can sort of do a bit of everything. And I reckon he's going to play quite a lot this year, because if he came in this year, this season just gone, don't reckon so. But we're going to have, a minimum of 50 games, 52 games this year compared to last year of 38, 39. So, yeah, I think really good player. And for 40 million, he's the third most expensive under 18, something like that in the world now. So for Spurs to take such a punt on a player, I know we think it's probably an opportunity a little bit that release clause was triggered, but no, really good player and really positive when I saw him for Leeds last year.
Yeah, definitely. And, those of us that know about Football Manager and all the other things, he's extremely highly rated on there. And I've seen him a few times play for Leeds, and I know a few people who are Leeds fans. And even, other rival fans of teams in the Premier League, like friends of mine who I know are Liverpool fans, like when I mentioned about it before, a lot of them were like, yeah, he's quality player. And so a lot of people are very jealous that Spurs have managed to get this. Wynnie, do you find it exciting, or do you follow some of the people on social media who find it irritating that Spurs waste their money on young talent when we've got so much sitting in the youth academy.
Fucking dickheads.
No, I'm all
My
for
Twitter
signing
stream's
people.
been this week. It's just twat. Something negative. Actually have some positivity in your life. Don't be a bunch of fucking whinge bags. I'm either trying to work. Wes messaged me and said that it was a quality signing and look at it on FM and all that stuff. Then this fucking cretins of people, just get off your high horse and just chill out for once in your life. There's a much bigger problems than Spurs signing a fucking Leeds youngster. Let's put it that way.
No, I'm all for it though. I'm all for it. I must admit, I like. Do you know what? It's like, obviously, if we were signing someone, because it obviously happens, if we'd have dipped into a lower kind of championship team and someone who I'd never heard of before, I may be sitting here going, oh, do you know what? This is probably one for the future. We'll see how it progresses. But we're signing someone who is talked about a lot. So it's not as if we're signing some random 18-year-old lad. And, you know, he's highly regarded, not just within like the kind of England ranks, but within football in general, to be, you know, this absolute wonder kid, not like the next Jude Bellingham, but someone of that ilk, someone who has got the potential to be a future star. So, no, for me, it's a hugely positive signing. I find it interesting because I must admit, obviously, I've seen him play, but I wasn't someone who avidly followed him week in, week out. So I thought he operated more as a right back, but I find it interesting that Spurs are looking at him as more of a midfielder than anything else, but someone that can operate at right back. And, you know, as Callum said, even in the 10, if we need him to, it's huge. We've got so many of the quite really exciting young players, you know, in the ranks at Tottenham, because we all know like the Donnellys and people like that, Mikey Moore, all these really exciting players coming up. So, you know, if we can add to that, at some point, our players that we've got currently are going to need to be replaced. So if you can replace them with these, you know, talented youngsters eventually, then it can only be good. It can only be good for us. But I'm excited to watch him play along with a couple of the other youngsters that I think are going to get a chance this year.
Yeah, definitely. So he's a central midfielder that's been converted last season to a right back.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so
he's the perfect inverted fullback for Ange, isn't he? He literally
Sounds
is
like
the perfect example for Ange's style.
Yeah, definitely. Wes, I know we spoke about it last week, but have you got any more thoughts on it this week?
Just absolutely buzzing that he's here. And finally, we are being proactive in the transfer market. We have spotted someone lower in the championship who balled out last season, got young player of the year, and we've gone, yes, please, we'll have a bit of that, as opposed to waiting, and then go somewhere else really cheap. And then all of a sudden, if we're to get them, we end up paying double or treble the amount. So yeah, I'm just absolutely buzzing with Archie Gray, to be fair. I think he's going to be absolutely wicked. I expect him to play quite a bit as well. Whether that is as a right back or as a sort of number 8, a little bit box to box. I think the way he can handle the ball is going to be fantastic. And as Callum mentioned, he's going to be perfect for the way Ange wants us to play in terms of having our fullbacks really high up the pitch. So yeah, I'm just absolutely buzzing that we were finally proactive. And in the transfer market, we've got an absolute superstar on our hands. So yeah, I am just made up that we bought him basically.
Evening to Darren, who said, "Hey Wesley and panel."
Love that.
Evening.
Right, let's move on to another player who none of us really know too much about, and I'm going to probably butcher his name, but the way I would pronounce it is Desire Doué. Whether that's correct or not, no idea. 19-year-old, predominantly left winger from Stade Rennes. Look, I'm going to ask your thoughts on him, but this could be a Danny Rose moment. So I'll try and let you know some stats before we get into it. So as I said, predominantly a left winger who can kind of play anywhere across the front three. Played 31 times in Ligue 1 last season. He scored 4 goals, got 5 assists, but Rennes did only finish 10th. So, you know, I don't think you can read too much into that because he's not playing for kind of one of the better teams in the league. Approximately, I'll say approximately, anywhere between 40 and 50 million pounds. I don't know. That's what I can see figures-wise, but we won't know until we know. Callum, you're a football manager, man. Do you know about this guy, or are you just going to
Of course I
bullshit
do.
your way through it?
No, I actually do know quite a bit about him. He's actually a very good, tricky young winger. He can play across the front three, forehand. He can play up front as well. Not his best position, but he is more of a inverted left or right winger. He definitely has the attributes that Ange would want. He's actually quite a strong player as well. He's not sort of silky smooth. He's quite a brick shithouse within reason at 18 or 19. I mean, he's definitely got a lot of interest across Europe. It seems that we're now competing in for these young players with the likes of PSG, Bayern Munich, people like that. So he has done a lot of good for himself this summer. Well, this season and a little bit of last year as well. He's definitely someone that Ange likes, and it's not one of them chance signings. There is a lot of people after him, and if we are going to go for him, he's one of them that could have an instant impact, I would say. And Spurs luckily do have a good relationship with Ren as well after the Spence and Joe Rodon loans last season as well. So no, he's a good player. He's not one of them if and but players. He's one of them that has got a big future for France. And there are comparisons to people like Ousmane Dembele and people of the sort in the way that he plays as well.
So if I can give you a choice, like I know they're not the same player, but I can't see us buying both Eze and someone like him. Who you putting your money on?
Completely different type player, mate. So you can't speak
we're not going to buy both. So that's what I'm saying is we're not going to buy both.
You never know. You never know. It's one of them where if you did do it, Eze would be more of your midfield signing and Desiree would be your sort of forward line signing out of it. So it could be one of them.
Saying Desiree. Ooh, interesting.
I like that.
Desiree Doué.
Someone's been practicing.
Yeah, someone's been practicing their French today. No, my point is like...
Admittedly, it does sound like a prostitute that comes from Paris or something like that. So what doesn't help?
40 million on Gray, 45 million, let's say, on Desiree. Then you reckon 70 million on Eze? You know,
potentially.
Come on.
From what we've been hearing, there's nothing to stop that happening, sort of thing. So I would say that based on the fees that we could get for different people, and if it is reinvested, it is definitely possible to go for it. It would be most likely that we get the midfield and we get the upfront signing. It's going to be the centre back and the fullback signing, which would actually suffer from that, I would say, because the prominence is going to be on the front line and that central area signings. But it's possible.
Do you think if we could get Gray, Doué, Eze, and a striker? Because my point is that then you wouldn't buy Doué and then like not buy a striker because that'd be madness. Like you can't buy someone as a winger that could possibly once upon a time play up. Do you get what I'm saying? Up front, like we need a striker.
It's either going to be a striker or a versatile forward signing that I've heard. It's not going to be both of them. It's going to be one or the other based on information that's out there at the moment.
And who do you think we need more?
I reckon a striker. We've got enough versatile forwards to pretty much field a five-a-side team. Let's put it that way. It would be a striker if you went for it, but the ballparks that we're in for that, then you are talking 100 million on a striker just to purely replace Kane of what he can do. Even a Tony, 60 million, Isak, 100, Gyökeres, 80. I don't know what other ones are being looked at, but I mean, if someone says Benjamin Sesko to me after the Euros that he's had, I wouldn't touch him with a barn door. And I think every Arsenal fan would actually agree with us as a podcast now that they feel that they've dodged a bullet there. Let's put it that way.
No, fair enough. Wes, do you know much about Doué?
Well, I thought I did, and then Callum came in, and now I feel like I know absolutely jack on Doué, to be fair, because I was under the impression that he was a central midfield player or like a number 10. But now all of a sudden I'm hearing he's a sort of winger or someone that comes in off the lines type of player. So yeah, proves how much I know. I need to brush up on the French FM knowledge, I think.
Sorry, Wes.
Definitely. And to answer the question again, who do you think, or what do you think we should sign? A winger or a versatile winger, play across the front line, or a striker?
We definitely need a number 9. We kind of got by-ish last year, and I think actually the amount of chances we created last year, I'm thinking if we had, and everybody was saying this to me at the start of the season, you look so much better without Harry Kane. You look a better team without Harry Kane. I said, yeah, but put Harry Kane in this team. Like, he would have literally hit up his Bayern numbers for Spurs last season. I'm so confident of that. Like I say, the amount of chances we created was unbelievable. And we just needed someone with a clinical instinct in front of goal, or a more natural instinct in front of goal, just to put the chances away. I don't mind Richarlison. There's a lot that you can sort of get behind with him, but then there's also a lot of things that can frustrate you with Richarlison, and the fact that he's not fit and available for the majority of the time is probably one of them. And I think there's a lot of Richarlison's play that's messy, but I think we kind of got by, like I said, last season, because I don't think Ange really wanted to do a lot of business once the season was like up and running. And I think that's why we signed Brennan Johnson, but I can't really recall anybody else that we signed in the summer window, like once the season had kicked off. So I think he wants everybody in early so we can work with them and get them up to speed in terms of how we want to play.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like that way is after we hear reports he wants 2 or 3 in the next week. So, whether we will or not is a different side of things. But I'll look at you with this one, Wynnie. Darren has said, I've got a bad feeling our club will go for Jonathan David. I know you talked about it on the show that I wasn't on, but again, this is not a player who can play predominantly through the middle. And so, do you think it's worth investing in multiple versatile wingers who can, No, okay, I won't carry on then.
No, I think we are lacking. Just like I said before, and we've said it on shows before, like a Lukaku. I was against obviously the Tony links, but you know what? Watching him come on for England, we are missing that type of player. Not specifically Tony, because I don't really think Spurs will touch him with his all the things going on in the background, but someone like that, we are missing that presence. Richarlison, okay, like his touch is decent. We're missing the ball, like what Kane used to do. They'd get the ball into his feet. No one's getting that ball off him. He'll link Son would come in, Kulusevski would come in off him. Obviously the Delis when we had him. We're missing that type of player that can bring other people into play. And as good as Richarlison can be, I suppose, his strength for me is aerial not really with his feet. So we were just missing someone like that. So for me, we've got enough versatile wingers. We've got too many at the minute on our books. We've still got Mana Solomon. We've still got Brian Hill. We've still got all these people. So Jonathan David, yeah, obviously, his stats say that he can score goals, but I don't think it's the type of player that we need. We need like a solid number 9, someone that can hold the ball up, someone that can bully defenders. We just don't have enough people. We don't have anyone, in my opinion, of that ilk. So yeah, I think we need someone a bit more solid. Someone like a Lukaku. I'd be all for it. If it became available, I would be taking Lukaku 100%.
Talking about the way Callum talked about Sesko in the Euros, did you see Lukaku in the Euros? The guy's trash. I'm sorry, his finishing is just not up there.
Oh, I tell you what, he had. I can comfortably count probably about 4 goals chalked out that were close. They were controversial decisions, in my opinion. So look, he's another Richarlison in the sense of he probably needs 5 chances to put one away. He's not clinical necessarily, but I think what he could offer would be invaluable.
No, fair enough. I think we all agree that our priority should be a centre forward. It's just who, And that kind of like links me to my next question, which is, who shall we sign? Just a quick answer if you've got any thoughts on who we should get as a centre forward. Wynnie, I'll come back to you. Who do you think? Are you just going to say Lukaku? Because then that's boring.
No. I'm not. I'm gonna say Ivan Toney. For the right price, Ivan Toney. I think that's what I would go for. But I don't think we will.
I'm sort of thinking that because I'm talking about realistically, because obviously I prefer someone like Isak, but it's not going to happen. So realistically, I probably have to agree with you. Like Toney has the attributes of a player that we need. The style of player. The issue
potentially is like a third of the price as well of what an Isak would cost, but it's not even achievable. So
yeah, fair enough. Wes,
Romelu Lukaku. I'm like, honestly, I've never been his biggest fan, although recently it sounds like I have. But I just feel like he would really, really suit the way we play. In terms of back to goal, linking play, being able to run in behind. Like, I don't think any defender would want to be coming up against Romelu Lukaku, like, especially with him running at you. Like, I genuinely think defenders are shit scared of him, like, genuinely, because he's an absolute unit as well. Obviously, his goal record for Belgium in particular, their record goal scorer. He has been hit and miss at times in the Premier League. But he's definitely one of those that needs an arm around him. And I think when you do that, he performs for you. Like, he's not one, I don't think, that responds to like the reverse psychology type of thing very well. You look at his time at, say, West Brom and Everton in particular, and at times, United, when the manager gave him a bit of love, he did perform and he did score goals. So yeah, for me, Lukaku, but I can't see it happening, which is a real shame because one, he's 31 years of age and he's on over 300 grand a week. So he's going to have to take a huge pay cut to come to us, and obviously he plays for Chelsea as well. So, but look, there's a release clause there, 35 million, is it? So if I was in that situation and a player of that caliber, that stature within the game became available, I'd definitely be looking at seeing what I could do in terms of getting a deal done.
No, fair enough. You've argued a good case. Wynnie, I just saw you disappeared, and I thought, oh no, what's happened? And then I got a notification saying Raducanu had been knocked out of Wimbledon, and that was it. You were gone.
No. I was. If I'm honest, I was just changing the light and I was turning the telly off. To be perfectly fine. No, got to save money while you can.
Exactly. Callum, who would you go for as a striker option?
I'd look within the club. I would actually advocate for giving some of our youngsters a go in pre-season to see what they can do. I would rather us get a versatile player, someone who can fulfill more roles in that front line to create all of that, and then go for someone like a Parrott, like a Lancashire, like a Donnelly. Give them a chance, create one of our own, instead of wasting 40 million on Lukaku, who's past his prime at 31 or 32, or going for a Toney at 28 and 29, who's got cunt written all over his head and all that. So, I mean, but no, I'd rather go for someone who actually knows what it is to be a Spurs player and to portray Spurs, instead of these players who are either going to come to us for their big move, i.e. in Toney, or because they've got nowhere else to go in Lukaku. There's not many people out there that can really fit in the price ranges that we are going for. Isak's not going to come to us. Gyökeres ain't going to come to us. Jimenez, I don't think is the right type of player. If you're going to go there, go for someone who has been in Spurs Youth Academy, counts as homegrown, meets the quota, also wants to play for us and play for the badge as well. Not scared.
Yeah, but do you think there's anybody like of that kind of build and player type that we all think that we require, like, most of them just look like young, small boys. I'm going to be honest. And if we need the young, small boy, we just go for Son.
If you do look at it, Troy Parrott's the closest one to it at the moment. He has built himself up to be a unit this last 18 months. I don't think he's been given a proper chance under Mourinho, under Conte, under Nuno. So if he can do it, and he does get his chance in pre-season, and he does score lots of goals and shows what he can do, then back him. Back a youngster to break through and potentially try to become the next Harry Kane. Even if they scored 10 goals, that's 10 more goals than we would have got from our existing players, sort of thing. And you focus on other more pressing areas in the squad, because look at how many people we've gotten rid of or are looking to get rid of. That 3 people that Ange wants in, that's going to be a lot more if you get rid of Spence, Reguilon, Højbjerg, all of these people. I think there's a lot more issues that are more pressing than this number 9, to be honest, mate, to deal
Fair
with.
enough. I still think Spence could work at Spurs. I genuinely do. I think.
Oh, I'd like him to. He counts as homegrown. It's just the attitude thing again.
Yeah.
If every report's to be believed, he has acted like an absolute idiot at all the clubs that he's gone to. So if Ange doesn't fancy him, and it's the same with Reguilon, apparently when the going gets tough, he's got an attitude as well. He sits in the corner and sulks. If these people are adults, they perform like adults. If they act like children, then Ange isn't going to have them along the way. That's the way that it's got to be.
Fair enough. Let's move on to outs at the club before we finish up. So the reports are Wynnie, Emerson Royale. AC Milan have been huge admirers for a while. Spurs want 20 million euros and Milan have bid below that and we have rejected it. What are your thoughts on that?
I just think it's just how negotiations go, isn't it? It's just the simple start of a negotiation. You don't go in with your best offer to start with. And I think...
is 20 million a good price for him? Or is it expensive?
Anything's good for him, to be honest. Like I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like I'm also, I'm also not going to slate him. I'm just going to pat him on the back and say, off you go. Thank you very much. Like there's no bad words to say, but he's just not good enough. It's as simple as that. So for me, I mean, I don't know what did we actually pay for him? Does anyone know?
22, rising to 25.
Yeah. So if we can recoup 15 to 20 million, I'd be satisfied with that, to be honest. And I think it's just like I say, it's just them playing hardball and Spurs playing hardball. There will be a compromise eventually. But as long as it's within 15 to 20 million, I think I'd be satisfied. But yeah, please just get rid of him now.
and Wes, what are your thoughts on Sergio Reguilon? Do you reckon he is a player that we should continue to loan out, we should keep, or we should just get rid of?
Yeah, I think he's probably... I don't know if this is the right turn of phrase here, but kind of like past his sell-by date, if that makes sense. Yeah, he's one of them that obviously came in. We were all buzzing. I think most Spurs fans like the look of his missus, to be fair. But yeah, I think he did all right when he first came, and then it just like dramatically fell off a cliff, which was a real shame because, from what he was portraying on social media and whatnot, he was genuinely like buzzing to be a Spurs player. So you wanted it to work for him. But yeah, as time's gone on, you kind of quickly realise that it wasn't going to happen for him. So yeah, I don't think he's going to suit Ange in terms of the way we're playing. I don't think he's comfortable enough on the ball and stuff like that. So look, if we can try and sell him, then yeah, I'd be all for that. And yeah, we just kind of say thanks, but kind of see you later.
No, fair enough. Right, last question to you all. I want to know, like, a wild card player that you think that we should keep, that others think that we should get rid of. For example, like, I think that we should keep Jed Spence. I think that he's still young. He's got a lot to learn. I think he could play a vital role as a backup inverted right wing back. That's my personal opinion. But, one that many people don't follow. Wynnie, any that you've got?
I don't know how controversial it is. It probably is, but I would be keeping probably Manuel Solomon because I don't think we've seen enough of him. I liked the look of what I did see. He had, I don't know specifically or factually what, but I'm pretty sure he produced a few assists on the games that he started or came on at least. So yeah, he's someone I think is a good player, and I mean, the problem I see is obviously he came in for free, depending on how you look at the situation. So any kind of sale is profit, and that's what Daniel Levy loves. So I feel like he may have been one of these players that we got in and thought he'll do a job for now, but then we'll sell him on for money later on. But I would keep hold of him. Unfortunately, as you know, I was a huge advocate for Brian Hill at one point. I just don't think he's got what it takes to cut the Premier League. He's had loans back in Spain, and he's looked great again. So there's it's no coincidence that he's come back to the Premier League and just looks kind of weak and fragile. So
those that can't see that, it says Jed Spence is like our Banksy. No one has seen him play.
Oh God.
But yeah, no, I think Solomon would be my wild card that I would probably keep on the books.
Callum.
For me, it'd be Troy Parrott. I think there's a player in there. I definitely think there's someone that can actually do a job. And I mean, he's gone to the Dutch league. It's a tricky league. Everyone slates it, but it's actually a very technical league to play in. And
Vincent Janssen.
Well, yeah, that'd be the same as if we signed bloody Jimenez, wouldn't it, as well? And yet everyone wanted him at one point. So, I mean, yeah, I think at least with Troy, he's done it. He's done all right in the Championship. If you're going to keep him, potentially either give him a first-team chance or send him to a lower Premier League club. Send him to someone like Ipswich, like Southampton, something like that. Give him a chance to do it. And, yeah, I think instead of selling him, extend the option for another 2 years. And if he does do bad this season, then try and sell him on next year for it. Don't just do what we usually do, let him go for $1 million and have a buyback clause or 50% sell on, like with Jack Clark.
Yeah, to be fair, he did all right in the Eredivisie. I've just been looking at his stats: 10 goals in 25 games, better than his stint in Championship, 3 goals in 43 games, or in League One, 10 goals in 59 games. So, is where you see the standard of the Eredivisie is entirely up to you, I suppose. But 10 goals in 25 games, you can't say he's done too badly, right?
He could do a job. If he can do a job for us, it means we can address more pressing issues. That's
the issue I have with him is he's now 22. Like, if we were going to see him set the world alight, we would have seen it by now. That's my problem.
Kane was 21 and 22 when he burst onto the scene. He got 22 loans.
Harry who?
Oh my God.
Wesley.
For me, Oliver Skipp. I really, really like Oliver Skipp as a player, and I actually think not that long ago, probably before his injury, he was probably and arguably our best player as well in that midfield. The relationship he struck up with Højbjerg at the time was fantastic. I think he gets a lot of stick for just no reason, to be honest. I think he would also tick a few boxes for us as well, with the fact that he's club trained, homegrown, for the English quota and everything else. And actually, I think he could do a job as our number 6 as well. And I know this was a good few years ago, and he's probably changed and football's changed since then. But when he played for England at youth level, I think it was under 17 against Holland, and you had the likes of Frankie de Jong in the changing room saying that they couldn't get anywhere near him. So there's proof in the pudding from other top level players that he is a very good player. And it's always interesting when effectively your peers are saying that about you as an individual. So yeah, for me, Oliver Skipp, I would not look to sell him at all. In fact, I'd look to keep him. And, I think from his perspective, he probably wants a bit more game time. But I'd like to think that he would get that, and I'd actually start him in a few more games as a number 6 as opposed to an 8 or trying to shoehorn him in at left back like we did towards the back end of last season.
So, what my only question is about that though is, do you see him getting game time with the likes of Lucas Bergvall coming in, Archie Gray coming in, the fact that we've obviously got Bissouma, Bentancur, Maddison, we only have very limited midfield spots. Do you really see him breaking into that at the detriment of one of the others?
I think he can. I think the plus side with Skip as well is that he can play slightly further forward. I envisage Bergvall and Maddison competing for that sort of number 10 spot, if you like. And then you obviously got Papsar in there as well.
Yeah.
Skip could be competing with him and Bentancur for that number 8 position. Then you got the 6 with Bentancur, Skip and Bissouma, because we anticipate that Højbjerg will be off. So yeah, I think there's opportunities for him to get games. Obviously, we've got more games this year compared to last year as well. So there's a little bit of onus on Skip to really show and prove to Ange that he can do a job for us, and that he's more than able and capable. But then I think there's also going to be, I'd like to think anyway, a little bit more rotation. So I'd like to think he'd get his minutes in there somewhere.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. It was a difficult question, so I just thought I'd fire that one at you before we finished. Quick round the houses, yes or no? Everyone happy to see Ndombele leave? I'm actually a bit sad, to be honest, because I really did want it to work out, but it's a shame it didn't. Wynnie?
Yeah, I'm sad to see him go, but at the same time, there was no point in keeping him because he clearly.
Then your record signing just ripping up their contract, letting them go on a free transfer. How many times has that happened in club's history?
Yeah, he was, for me, one of the most eagerly anticipated signings we've made in a very, very long time. Because technically, I don't think I've seen many better people in a very, very long time. Like, it's just clearly an attitude problem, or just it was his fitness and stuff like that. So yeah, sad to see him eventually go, but it's been a long time coming because he's not really done anything for us in his whole stint. So
really. Oh, sorry, it was Wes?
Yeah, gutted because he had all the ability going for him. Like the stuff that you used to see him do, you're just there like, oh my God, what a player. Like what on earth, like in a good way, it's like, what on earth have we managed to get here? And then, yeah, for one reason or another, just didn't suit, didn't work. I know he had a lot of change in his Tottenham career as well. Obviously, we were churning through managers left, right and centre, but yeah, I think if you could look at probably the biggest what if in the last sort of 10 years at this football club, Tanguy Ndombele is right up there. Because like I say, you turn up for 10 minutes and you think, what a 10 minutes this is. But yeah, then all of a sudden it'd just go missing and we couldn't defend him anymore. We had to kind of start seeing him deliver and unfortunately he didn't really do that for us.
No, fair enough. And Callum?
Well, I have seen him rock up on the new season of Love Island, if anyone's seen that clip of him. It, like the guys have echoed, it's literally one of them the talent the guy had was world class. The attitude the guy had was dog shit sort of thing. It was completely opposite to what you would want. He'd, like Wes said, he'd be there for 10 minutes and 10 games he'd disappear for. That's the problem. It's that for someone so talented that he'd impressed so many players. Like Gareth Bale said, he was one of the most tactically and talented players on the ball, and yet the attitude and the aptitude wasn't there. So, I mean, we wanted the heir apparent to Ndombele, to Moussa Dembele, and we got the heir apparent to pretty much Ronald McDonald. Let's put it that way. So, I mean, it was such a disappointing one. And when you think in that whole transfer window, Clark, Sessegnon, Lo Celso, Ndombele, all of them could be gone by the end of this summer. And we didn't want to cough up the money for Bruno Fernandes. So, I mean, it's such a disappointing transfer window and such a disappointing career for him in the 2019 window to now. And we still realistically haven't found that player to replace one of our greatest midfielders in the Premier League era in Moussa Dembele. So yeah, so disappointing, mate. But good luck to him in the French league. If he rips it up down there, then hopefully it'll work out for him. But it's always been an attitude thing for him. Whenever you see he got released at 18, released at 19, then got his move to Lyon, then came to us, and every club he's gone to, he's won trophies. But it's the same thing. He's lazy. There's nothing in his head. He can do stuff with his feet, but there's no heart, there's no brain to it. So it's such a waste of money. And when you look at on paper, we've wasted nearly 120 million on him in terms of transfer fees and wages, and we've probably got about 10 to 15 back in loan fees. And it shows that when Spurs, sorry, I know I'm dragging on, but when Spurs take the idea of getting young players and developing them, and they get them for a reasonable fee, and they turn into that middle stage to world beaters, we're so successful. Yet as soon as we cough up money for players, they flop, they fluke, they haven't been scouted properly. So it's such a bigger issue. And whoever scouted Ndombele and Lo Celso in that window, well, I'm hoping they're out of the club now. Let's put it that way.
It's a difficult one, though, isn't it? Because technically, as you say, a scout's job is to do what they see in a player, and technically, we've all said absolutely outstanding. But it's not often that you get talk about attitude and mentality. Well, you do a lot more now, I suppose. But whether that comes from other parts, I don't know. But anyway, let's use that as a somber note to wrap up on. Thank you all everyone for tuning in. There was a lot of you tuned in that didn't say anything. So next time, don't be shy. You can comment in the comment section. We don't bite, and we'll read out as many as we can. Thank you to Darren for some good one-liners there as well. Paul G has said, stumbled across the channel on YouTube, liked and subscribed.
Big up, Paul. Big up, Paul.
Jesus Christ, they're all coming here. Leeds meets World. Leeds fan here. Still in mourning. You have yourself a superstar, the next Modric.
Love that.
Don't forget to watch him Leeds World this year, and we will make him proud to be a Leeds boy at heart. Even though he does support Celtic, apparently, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Darren has said, great stream. Thanks, Darren. Really appreciate it. Look, before we wrap up and talk to everybody and how you can find them all, most importantly, for them, go and click the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. If you're not on YouTube, head over to YouTube. Just type in Park Lane Podcast on any social media, I suppose, and you'll find us. But more importantly, go and click the subscribe button. As I said, there's a really, really, really good prize for when we hit 1,000 subscribers, which will be announced on our Twitter page. And it's coming out of my pocket, so it's bound to be good. No, put it that way. So I'll try and do something really good as a real surprise for everyone, but we need to get there first. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like all the good stuff. But let's go around the houses and find out how you can find where all of our lovely hosts are all the time. Callum, how can everyone find you?
The prize is Luke's tight top. Let's put it that way. You can have that. Do everyone a favour.
Subscribers. There we go.
No, thanks for having me on as always, mate. It's Callum Stubbs 97 on Twitter. I am sorry if I've offended anyone tonight. It has just been a fun show. So no, thanks very much, mate. And big up to everyone on here, and big up to everyone in the chat, and like and subscribe.
Amazing. And Wes, how can everyone find you?
Just search my name on a social media platform. I'm sure you'll find me somewhere. Whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, I'm usually somewhere doing something. So yeah, just search my name, and like I say, I'm sure you'll find me.
Yeah, he's got a football coaching business in Milton Keynes, Dele Alli country. He's also got the unofficial Wes and Dave fan account on Twitter. So, go and find him.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Wynnie, how can everyone find you?
Yeah, Wynnie 1991 on Twitter, but obviously on here Sundays at 7, and also we do a FIFA stream typically every Tuesday, dependent on England and other live things that get in the way. But just echoing what you said, obviously we really want to try and push this as much as we can now, because I'm sure there's people that are watching or have watched that haven't subscribed or liked anything. So obviously I don't want to sit here and beg people, but it doesn't take a lot if you don't have YouTube to just literally. Yeah, but it doesn't take a lot, and I think it's quite an overused phrase, like, oh, it doesn't take a lot to do, but it goes a long way. But in this instance, it genuinely is true. Like it makes a huge difference to us, but it may, it will take 2 minutes of your time. So obviously, if you don't like our stuff, that's absolutely fine. But we try to be as fair and honest as possible as a podcast and as a channel in general. So hopefully everyone does like us. And, people in the comments here stumbled upon your YouTube channel, liked and subscribed. So that's good. More people like that, please.
Exactly. More of you, Paul.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Talking about FIFA streams, we do this every Tuesday as we can. We were actually on last night as well. We're going to try and make it a little bit more inclusive for everybody. So we had a big meeting this week, this morning, me and Wynnie about it. So we'll have a lot more talking points, things to discuss whilst we're playing. Really interactive. So, if you want to jump on and watch us play and have a bit of banter and chat through some of the, it doesn't have to be Spurs topics because we've got some, people that play with us at Man United fans and support other teams. So, always jump on and watch us 8 p.m. usually on a Tuesday, but just not this Tuesday. If you want to follow me, you can. It's Luke_Park Lane. But yeah, as everyone said, more importantly, whether you're on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen, wherever you find us, wherever you do anything, just make sure you follow us on all social platforms and stay up to date with our competition coming when we hit 1,000 subscribers. But enough of that. Let's wrap up and we'll see you next Sunday, 7 p.m. for a very special episode of Park Lane Podcast. But we'll see you then. And a massive, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.